And of course, you wait for a very long time. It takes time. And there you see the big Carlsberg advertisement talking about Denmark being the most happy nation in the world. And it always smells of pork. Unless you come very late and the sausage wagon has closed. So this is the first you're presented with, actually, the smell of sausage and welcome to the most happy nation.
Yeah, it's you're right. I mean, the airport, there's a pølsevogn right in the luggage, and there's also wienerbrød up on the one floor above it. And it certainly it's the pork and the wienerbrød and the coffee and all that. I mean, that's kind of part of how Denmark smells. And I only mean that in the most positive of ways. There's one of the places we go a lot, Jess and I, is to Ilum Bolighus, and they have these candles. What's the line? Scandinavians? Does anybody know these lines? Yeah. And they have the hygge candles. Yeah. And yesterday, when we were in there looking at them, it has the ingredients of what, and I can't remember, but it has, the 4 or 5 essential Danish smells. Port wasn't one of them. Port wasn't one of the ones that the Scandinavian Candle Company were selling. But maybe one day there's an idea for something there.
I can very much relate to what you made me think about, this thing of being on the journey and feeling that the journey is also a home feeling, being on the travels. And I always bring this, I don't know what happens every time I move into a hotel room, but after 2 seconds, all my stuff is everywhere. And it's not...
It takes you that long? We can beat you. No, I relate to everything you're saying.
And my gray robe, this frotté-kåbe with some white dots, circles that I always bring with me to just be roaming around in this stupid generic hotel room to feel at home and to be able to relax after I come home from a long day. And I feel it's claustrophobic to be in Denmark for more than a week, but I can also feel it's claustrophobic if I have been at my home in Beirut for more than a couple of weeks. This sense of going to the airport, going to something I don't know what is, maybe sometimes I know what it is I'm going into, some often not. This sense of really meeting the world with not so much expectation, actually, just staying open, curious. I don't know if it's also something I don't know how you do when you're in
I mean, this is a great conversation in that sense, because I think you're bringing up a lot of things. I think when you say the word claustrophobic, a lot of people would probably ascertain that has a negative connotation to it. But I think that as you were talking, maybe claustrophobic is not the applicable word always. It's a restlessness. It's like when you're in the same place for too long, and that happens in San Francisco or almost anywhere to me, it's just a need to move. It's just a need to move and a need to, like you say, continue the exploration, continue the path of curiosity, and what stones can be turned over in these new destinations, or what else can we interact with and learn from and engage. And I think it's one thing I'm certain of is that Danish people, because I can see it, is we ask questions, and I can see sometimes when my Danish friends interact with my non-Danish friends, they ask so many questions that they almost feel like intrusive, and there's a fine art to sort of asking questions without necessarily feeling like and there's some balances there, but I can definitely see sometimes when you ask too many questions, people feel like, why are you getting in my shit, but I think you and I are very similar in that sense, in that we're among the Danish people that just have a need to sort of keep moving all the time. And certainly in my childhood, before Odyssey, from Augustskolen, you know, I spent the first 7 years of my life just moving with my dad. My mom and my dad moved everywhere my dad went, to tennis tournaments, and we were very extensively traveled by the time I started in first grade, and we were, you know, even at that time in the 60s, traveling in, you know, Africa, in the far, you know, Pacific, you know, going to Australia and going to all kinds of, at that time, I mean, Australia was pretty far away in 1968, and spending, you know, we spent, you know, 3 months in South Africa in the late 60s, and, you know, so I mean, we were pretty extensively traveled, and I think that my sense of discovery and that path certainly obviously is born out of that, and coming from my dad also, you know, was playing tennis and writing about music and trying to make sense of it all in terms of jazz music and Eastern philosophies and so much more that he was enveloped in.
Yeah, so you were exposed to this movement.
Yes.
I was
very much
stationed basically in my childhood farm in Hammertorup, and the longest journey we ever went on in my childhood was to a bit further, just down the autobahn to Austria in the summer, to walk in the Alps 10 summers in a row, I think, until I luckily got a friend who had a dad who lived in Nairobi, and that was my first time out of Europe in the age of 14. So I think my restlessness has come from being fucking stationed in this fantastic place, by the way, and I love coming home. My dad is busy with feeding the fish. He has some koi carver in a little pond, and like this sense of being a place where they are happy to be. My dad is a driver's teacher.